I wanted to do a quick video because I've just been watching these videos on YouTube over the years, and it's gotten to a fever pitch. And it's the obsessive cork sniffing guitar pedal mania that all guitarists seem to be caught up in, where it's like all these variations on basically what are 20 or to 30 circuit designs and slight tweaks on them, obsessing on the sounds of them, and feeling all they do now is watch these YouTube videos. The guitar pedal industry has turned into this massive multi-million dollar industry where everyone's obsessed with comparing all the sounds, not even in a mix, and hearing them individually by themselves, and somehow always feeling like they need to get something else and sell this and get that, and never being satisfied with what they have. And they're spending all their time doing this and not spending that time making music and writing songs. All the albums you're influenced by from the 60s up to the early 2000s, when was the peak of making records, those are made with pedal designs or rack designs. The pedal designs are from three major companies: MXR, Electroharmonix, and Boss. And most companies that were little offshoots were making copies of what those pedals were, are trying to just sell their own versions of what those were. So all those musicians back then had a pedal board of 10 to 12, 8 pedals, whatever, or even simpler, and they found their sounds with their effects, and they went and they made music. That's it. They didn't keep obsessing on it. Every now and then they might swap something out. They were on tour, they hear something, oh, I want to try this, whatever. But they were making records and making music. And all those records, those effects you hear, they're basically 20 to 30 schematic designs. This industry now has turned into like all these pedal makers and all these people doing slight tweaks on 20 to 30 basic schematic designs and sounds, whether it's modulation sounds, fuzzes, overdrives, phasers, delays, reverbs, etc. The amount of, it's just slight tweaks on those sounds, and then everybody obsesses on it. The new one comes out, ooh, it's just all little, reworkings of circuits and slight variations of sounds. And it's all down to the packaging, right? The visual aesthetic, like, oh, it looks this way, and it's become an obsession of collecting like comic books or baseball cards or something. It's ridiculous. I think it's bad because it takes musicians away from what they should be doing. It's writing songs. It's like people spend hours and hours a week watching That Pedal Show and all these different shows. I mean, whether it's the JHS guy or it's this guy or that guy, they all have interesting things to say sometimes, but the amount of, you have to realize this has turned into a massive industry for all these people. The more you guys obsess on it, the more you feel like you have to sell this pedal and get this new one every 2 months, makes them money. So they're propagating this. Of course they are. Of course they do these videos. They propagate this constant need to compare and buy something. And what's hilarious to me is the way a pedal sounds by itself isn't necessarily how it's going to sound in a mix. What sounds warm by itself may not necessarily be the best thing for a lot of applications live or in a studio setting. And even beyond pedals, all the other sounds you've heard on the albums that you love were made by either rack gear or pedals based on those 20 or 30 circuit designs. Just the rack gear was like higher fidelity, and sometimes you would want a high fidelity tri-chorus or reverb, digital reverb, or sometimes you would want that nasty analog delay or that CE1 chorus sound. But the bottom line is everything being made now are just tweaks on those designs. Stop doing this to yourself. Stop watching all these goddamn videos and going crazy and constantly thinking you need to get the next thing that comes out, or that's better than this. Reading forums, everyone's got opinions. Oh no, this one's better, this is better. It is a ridiculous industry that I think is propagated by some of the pedal makers, and I think they get in these forums and they have people that work for them that constantly feed that argument cycle. It's a constant cycle of arguing and cork sniffing and contrast and comparisons that are so minor and so irrelevant in a mix in the real world that it's just baffling to me. My suggestion is find 8 to 10 to 12 effects you like, whatever they are. Univibe, phaser, or chorus, or flanger in your modulation. Find 1 or 2 delays you like. You don't need any more than 2 delays to do double delays. That's it. Get a good reverb, whether it's digital or analog, whatever. Find a good overdrive or two. Find an octave or something crazy like that, a filter, and just be done with it, man. If it's a wah, great. But the bottom line is just find ones that work for you, that sound good, and just stick with those and get back to making music. Don't go on and listen to someone comparing 10 different wahs to your wah, and you're like, and some guy's like, well, that's warmer, I like that one better, and you're like, oh, I guess I got to get that wah now and sell this. That's what that industry propagates, and the more you do that, the more it takes you away from making music. All the bands back in the day weren't doing this crap. They might swap something out occasionally if they heard something on tour from another guitarist, they want to try that sound, whatever. But for the most part, they were busy making music and writing songs. Think they were doing this all day? It's ridiculous. It's a waste of your time. They're all basically the same circuit design, slightly tweaked. Just stop doing it to yourself. I know that the industry and the pedal makers don't want that. They want you to keep watching. My suggestion is put those videos down, man. Just go find stuff that sounds good. Maybe use them for a slight reference point to find what you want. But once you find what you want and like and it sounds good, don't get obsessed with needing to change it out. I mean, the amount of guys that constantly change out their pedal board from this syndrome, I call it. It's like a virus these days of just like constantly obsessing on watching these videos and feeling like what you have needs to be changed and it's not good enough, etc. Who cares if it's not being used to write songs and ultimately do what the goal is? To make great records, make great songs, and make a new generation. You know, there's reasons that the rock and alternative realms are not putting many new bands on the table that are super exciting, and they're not putting out consistent material. There's different factors, but I think this is one of them. I really do. I think this industry, also the studio rack effect industry for preamps and compressors and converters, that's been going on for the last 20 years. Now the pedal thing has seemed to supersede that. Musicians are too obsessed with all these contrasts and comparisons of basic circuit designs that are slightly tweaked. It's the same thing with studio gear. Only 20 or 30 basic schematic designs of preamps, compressors, EQs, you know, have made up the majority of the albums you've heard that you loved. And just find stuff that works. Don't obsess on comparing it to other stuff because it's all basically the same shit, slightly tweaked. The more you obsess on that and the more you hear them individually by themselves and obsess on these little things that make no difference in a mix, I'm telling you, they make no difference in a mix. Just let it go. I mean, as long as it's cutting through, whatever. Like I said, once you find something that works for you in a mix and in general and sounds good, stick with it and go back to what's important, playing your instrument, writing songs, and put down the friggin' videos. That industry is out of control, and I believe it's just too distracting for musicians. It's too much, and I think it's out of control. So that's my thought on it. Do what you want. Your mileage may vary, but that's my suggestion, man. Build a pedal board you like and just don't think about it again, man. Go out and make your music and rock out and have a good time and stop obsessing on feeling like you need the next thing that comes out, because the next thing that comes out is the same thing repackaged with a different look and a slight variation on a circuit. These guys building these pedals know that. They're smart and they're businessmen. So, you know, if you want to keep doing that, it's your money, it's your time wasted. But I suggest rethinking it all and kind of taking a step back and realizing that, my God, this is just, it's 20 or 30 basic schematic designs being reworked with slight variations on circuits. It's madness. All right, anyway, that's all I got to say. Rock on.